You're listening to Boomers Today with your host, Frank Sampson.
Well, welcome to Boomers Today. I'm your host, Frank Sampson. Of course, each show we bring you important and useful information on issues facing baby boomers, their parents, and other loved ones. And I know I thank all of you each and every time, but I'm going to thank you again for all your support. Our listeners, of course, grow each and every day, and it's because of all of you sending our podcasts, individual ones, or the entire show to friends and family. And that's why our listeners are growing. And the reason you're doing that is because we do have some great guests, and I'm not going to disappoint you today. We have another great guest on a very important subject matter. His name is Mike Briggs. Mike has been working in healthcare since 2004. He loves to provide solutions to patients and families that need help in the community he loves. Mike is extremely passionate about hospice care and enjoys helping people understand why it's such a great benefit. Mike, thank you so much for joining us on Boomers Today. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, Frank. I'm honored to be a part of this today. And I was excited today when I woke up. I'm like, I'm going to get interviewed on Boomers Today. And hopefully I will inspire people to learn to love hospice the way that I do.
Yeah, it's a subject matter, when people say hospice, they're just uncomfortable. I know you've been in it a while, so certainly you're much more comfortable talking about it. But, you and I fortunately had an opportunity to meet together. And one of the things you said to me was very interesting. I never heard anybody say this, and that is, hospice care is about living. Talk to us about that statement, because when people think about hospice care, they think about dying. The person's going to die. Talk to us about that statement that you told me.
Well, 100%. Well, it starts out with our mission at Keystone. It's changing hospice, promoting a healthy transition through the end of life by an exceptional team who cares, changing lives by embracing each breath until the very last. So our goal here at Keystone is to help people understand that hospice is truly about living until we take our last breath. We're all dying once we were born on this planet. So I'm so sorry, Frank. Somebody was trying to call me. I apologize for that.
Not a problem. No, go right ahead. Okay, just go ahead.
So if there's any interruption, I'll just make sure I get on that phone and stop that. I apologize.
No
so
problem.
anyways, back to where I was saying is that once we're born on this planet, we start dying. I mean, but that's a really crappy way to look at it, because you can look at it as an optimistic person or a pessimistic person and say, this glass is half full, not half empty, and realize that life is a gift that God gave us. So we need to live each and every day to its fullest, because it's so short. We're here for such a short time. So even when you get a terminal diagnosis, because you've got cancer or you've got Alzheimer's or you have COPD or CHF, just because a doctor has said, looking at you today, and I wouldn't be shocked if you passed away in the next 6 months, that qualifies you for hospice. So if a doctor comes to somebody and says, hey, you have a terminal diagnosis, you're going to die by the end of October, would you want loving people that are experts in helping somebody live the rest of their days? Or would you rather not have any help at all? Would you rather not have any care providers that are going to treat you, not only your body, but also your mind and your spirit? That's one thing, again, that's really unique about hospice, is we treat the whole person. We have nurses and CNAs that treat the body, that treat the signs and symptoms, the vital signs, the bathing assistants that come in and help these people that are are typically, they're the greatest generation right now that we get to care for. And then you also have the mind part of it, where you have social workers that are licensed clinical social workers. So they're counselors essentially that come in and help you and your family process what you're going through right now each day as you're on hospice care. And then you have chaplains that are there to help you spiritually. They're not there to get you to know who Jesus is. They're there to find out where you're at spiritually and then walk alongside you. They're more like a spiritual counselor. They're not of any denomination. They are there to help walk you through this period of your life where you're getting ready to say your goodbyes, getting ready to say I love yous, getting ready to say I forgive you. Will you please forgive me? Getting ready to end your journey here and go on to the next life. So hospice is so truly unique. It's such a great benefit. Medicare pays 100% for the services that we provide. So when we meet with people, typically they have that thought that, yeah, it means I'm dying. That means I might as well give up. That means I'm cashing in. So they think that hospice is for the last 2 days, the last 24 hours, the last week, the last month. Hospice is truly there for the last 6 months of life. So I want to tell a story in regards to a hospice patient that we had. He just recently passed, probably about in the last 6 months. This gentleman was a veteran. He served our country as a Marine. He was told in August of 2019, that sounds right, yeah, 2019, you have a form of cancer that we can't treat. You have a form of cancer that you're going to die by October. So September of 2019, he comes onto hospice with Keystone Hospice. We get to celebrate 2 anniversaries with him and his bride. We created a video of it. We gave them that gift of that video so they could share it with their family members. But this gentleman thought he was going to die by the end of October. He goes, I just want to live till Christmas time. So when hospice gets involved, typically people live 29 days longer. Now, obviously, this gentleman lived a lot longer than that. He was blessed. His wife was blessed. He got the support that he needed to live the rest of his days. And he was on services for almost 2.5 years. And that's not the typical story. Typically, like I said earlier in the conversation, it's when you have less than 6 months to live. But this gentleman was a Marine, so he's tougher than nails. And we got to love on him for 2.5 years. We got to love on his wife, because hospice just isn't about treating the patient and that's it. It's also, we wrap our arms around the whole entire family. We're there to love on the patient and their spouse, the patient and their family members. We're there to walk them through this journey of ending life well here on this planet. And so we're just fortunate enough, we have owners that truly believe that hospice should be a blessing to everyone in our vicinity that has a terminal diagnosis, that they get the very best care. And I know that there's other hospice agencies out there, they feel the same way. They want to provide the best care they possibly can. But when you deal with a corporate ran hospice, you don't get to make the decisions that we get to make on the fly for our patients. We get to do a lot of things that the corporate ran hospices don't get to do. We all get paid the same from Medicare. We all get paid a daily rate. We all are paid the exact same amount of money each and every day. So we choose to spend that money in different ways. We have 2 veteran service coordinators that are part of our team, and no other hospice west of the Mississippi has that. These veteran service coordinators get to make a huge impact on the veterans that we serve. We have over 30 patients on our services right now that are veterans. We have probably over 50 patients on our services that are veteran spouses. And it could be bigger than that. I'm just guessing. And these gentlemen, they get to go in there and they get to help these veterans. These veterans will say things to them, to the veteran service coordinators, that they won't even tell their family. And so it's a way that they can kind of make meaning out of their life and make meaning out of how they served when they were in the military.
Yeah.
The other great thing that they do is when our veterans pass away, they come to them dressed in their Marine uniform. They place a flag on them, and they help transfer the care from our care to the funeral home care by playing taps and standing at attention. It is one of the most dignifying, respectful way to serve our veterans that served our country.
Yeah.
And so it's just fantastic that our ownership, which is a veteran, gets to, we get to do some special things here at Keystone Hospice. And so it's a blessing to be a part of Keystone Hospice, and it's also a blessing to be able to represent Keystone Hospice each and every day. Even when there's hard days. I had a hard day yesterday. And so I'm still blessed to be able to represent Keystone Hospice and to work for Tom and Kelly and Lenny and Mary. It's a true blessing. I fell in love with hospice it was probably when I was about 10 years ago when I worked at Legacy Home Health and Hospice. That's where I truly understood hospice in such a greater capacity, that it's truly a blessing to everyone. And we get to impact the lives in such a mighty way. We had a gentleman recently that was on our services. He was only on our services for 4 hours. But the impact that we made on that family will last a lifetime. The family, when I went to the memorial service, to the celebration of life for him, and he was a World War II vet that flew, and he was just, everyone loved him. He lived at his community for over 6 years. He was a blessing. He was a storyteller. Every time I would come into that facility, he would say, "Mike, I went and saw the doctor today." Not every time would he say it, but when he saw his doctor, this is the same thing he would say. And he didn't have dementia or anything. He would just tell the story. "Mike, I saw the doctor today, and he says I suffer from TMB." And I'm like, "What the heck is TMB, Ralph?" He goes, "Too many birthdays." He was 98 years old when he passed away. And he just was a storyteller. He'd tell stories about how he kissed Amelia Earhart. I mean, the people that we get to come into contact with here at Keystone Hospice, it's so fun to hear the stories and to meet these people that really have paved the way for America to be what America is.
So, Mike, certainly it's quite obvious the passion that you have for hospice and the care that you provide, quite obvious. So just a couple follow-up, questions based on what you just spoke about. So it's basically a doctor's opinion that if that doctor feels that the person will probably pass away within 6 months, that individual could qualify for hospice, but they don't have to accept it. Okay. I guess my question is, in your experience, why wouldn't someone take advantage of the services that hospice provides, since it is, covered by, like you said, Medicare? Why would someone not move forward with hospice, in your opinion?
Lack of knowledge. So, and I'm going to give a story, and this is in regards to my aunt who passed away on our services about a year ago. So my Aunt Connie calls me, and she says, "Little Mike," and I'm called Little Mike because my dad's Big Mike. So, "Little Mike, I've been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and I'm going to need a hospice." And I just started bawling my eyes out because I love my aunt. She was tough. She kept me in check. As a teenager and as a kid, I was a little punk, and she loved on me and she cared about me, but she also held me in check. which we all need somebody to do that for us. Anyways, I said, okay, well, we'll come and help you. So I thought it was going to be like in the next day, 2 days. Well, 5 days passed by, and I'm like, I got to call my aunt. I got to tell her we need to start right now. She already has that terminal diagnosis. She qualifies 100%. She has metastatic pancreatic cancer. She needs to be on our services. There's no reason to wait. So I said, Aunt Connie, can me and my nurse, can we come and talk to you and just explain to you what hospice is all about? And she said, yes, little Mike, come on over. And she got her sisters. She had her sisters there, and we went over there. And by the end of our meeting, she had signed up for hospice because she could understand that hospice is truly about living the best that you can until you take your last breath. It's not about dying. It's not about dying. I can't say it enough. Hospice is truly about living the best you possibly can until you take your last breath. So exactly what you said, Frank. Why would somebody not take advantage of it? Because of the lack of knowledge, because they just don't understand the benefit. And so my mantra, because of what I learned at Legacy, is always about educating people on the benefit of hospice and why it's so important that when I've got that terminal diagnosis, there's no reason to wait. If I was given the diagnosis of cancer right now, today, if a doctor came to me and said, hey, you have stage 4 metastatic lung cancer, I would say, okay, I'm not going to do chemo. Right now, though, because I have teenagers, I would fight it. But if I was older, my kids were out of the house, all of my kids were out of the house, then I probably wouldn't. I would probably just go on to hospice. And then I would travel and you can still travel when you're on hospice. We have patients that go, we've had patients that go down to California to see family. But we do special things for those people. We make contact with a hospice that's in the area where they're going to be. So if they have any issues, they can call them, and then we just pay them for those visits, or we make a contract with them so that we can help people. So a lot of people have some negative connotations besides I'm dying and giving up. People just don't know, oh, I could still go to McCall. So I'm going to talk specific in my region. I live in the Treasure Valley of Boise, Idaho, and McCall is a resort town in the mountains, and people that live in our community there's a lot of people that have cabins in McCall. And so can I go to McCall? Absolutely, you can go to McCall. We've got St. Luke's Hospice. That's the only hospice that covers that area. We'll tell them you're going to be there. If there's a problem, you can call them, and they'll come make a visit if they need to. We'll make sure that they have all their medications. We'll make sure that they have everything they need to make it a successful trip to McCall. I'm going to tell another story about another patient that we brought on our services that was a pro bono patient. This patient, he had cancer, and his daughter and I are friends. His daughter married my brother's high school best friend. And she was a PA, and which is a physician assistant. And so I said, yeah, we'll take you on. The ownership gave the approval. We were able to help this gentleman. And he had a request. He really didn't want to be on hospice, but his daughter knew he needed to be on hospice. He had a request that he wanted to go camping one more time up in the mountains. So we got about $500 from a local nonprofit called Angels Anonymous. If you want to check them out, just go to Angels Anonymous and you can donate money to them. They offer support to granting last wishes of any hospice patient in the Treasure Valley. And so they gave us $500. We went to a local place where you can rent motorhomes, and we gave them the $500 check to rent that out. They also rented out another one. So they had 2 motorhomes that they rented out. They took their entire family up to his favorite camping spot. He got to see his grandson kill a deer, catch a fish, fly in a helicopter. He got to sleep under the stars in a hospital bed that the family put in the motorhome and took up there. So wouldn't you say that's about living, Frank?
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Wouldn't you want that if that's what you
Of
wanted? I mean, if
course.
you wanted to go, yeah. If and wouldn't you want that for your dad or your mom if they were given a crappy diagnosis? I know it just sucks. It's hard. Um, but we're all going to die. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't you want to do that with experts around you that are experts at taking care of you until you take your last breath? Why?
Yeah, I agree. So, Mike, we're going to take a real short break, I promise, just to recognize our sponsor. And we come back, I like maybe we could talk a little bit about how hospice benefits the rest of the family too. All right. So when we come back, we'll talk about that. So I'm going to ask all of you, do you know anybody who may be concerned about an older driver? Well, Senior Care Authority's Beyond Driving with Dignity program is a facilitated self-assessment program for older drivers. The program has been designed to serve as a vital tool to facilitate older drivers and their families as they make the appropriate decisions regarding the future of one's safe driving career. If the individual is a safe driver, an advisor will provide him or her with strategies on how to remain a safe driver as they progress through the aging process. If driving retirement is the appropriate decision, then the individual and their family are offered possible alternatives, resources, and a specific plan to ensure a smooth and successful transition from the driver's seat to the passenger seat. So to learn more, you could go to www.beyonddrivingwithdignity.com or call 877-907-8841 to connect with a Senior Care Authority advisor in your area. We're back with Mike Briggs, who's been in healthcare for years with Keystone Hospice out of the Boise, Idaho area. So, Mike, we're obviously probably one of the most important uh, services provided by hospice is to, like you said, help that individual live the rest of their life in the most dignified manner as possible. Uh, but I know that hospice provides great support to family members, grief support, etc. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely, Frank. I'd be
Well,
happy
you
to.
know what?
So,
I'm going to interrupt you, Mike. Let's put that question on hold for a second because I want to make sure we have enough time. Why don't you also let our listeners know so we don't run out of time. If they want to get in touch with you or learn more about Keystone, how would they go ahead and do that?
yeah, first of all, if you want to chat about hospice more, please feel free to give me a call at 208-996-4000. Again, my number is 208-996-4000. There's other ways that you can find out more about Keystone Hospice. You can go to our website at www.keystonehospice.org. Another way you can find us and look at some pretty cool stuff is on our Facebook page, and that's just facebook.com/Keystone Hospice. We do some amazing things for our patients, like granting wishes. So go there if you want to see some of our videos and get to learn more about Keystone Hospice. The other place you can follow us is at Instagram, again, at Keystone Hospice. And we're located in Eagle, Idaho at 21 North Fisher Park Way. And we also have a regular line that you can reach us at 208-996-8181. Someone will always be happy to assist you if you have questions about hospice.
Yeah.
So those are the best ways to get a hold of us. Yeah.
And even though you're in Boise, if somebody wanted to talk to you about hospice, and maybe you could guide them on how to find the right type of hospice care in their area.
I would be happy to. Again, like you said, Frank, earlier in the conversation, I am definitely passionate about hospice. And the whole reason why is because we only get to live once. Again, like I said earlier, you only live once. It's a short time here. If you were born here and you had doctors, nurses, CNAs welcoming you here on this planet, or midwives, or whatever, however you were born, why wouldn't you want experts to be able to help you leave this world in a peaceful, comfortable way? It just blows me away that people are just so scared of hospice. And it's just because of lack of knowledge, like I said earlier. So We love to be able to help people solve problems. When we meet with families, usually it's like a gigantic weight lifted off their shoulders because we're there to help solve problems with what's going on with mom or dad or aunt or uncle right now in this moment. Typically, when we meet with people, they are in crisis mode because they are overwhelmed, because they've never done this before, because they're scared, or the very few percent, the 1 or 2%, they've already experienced hospice. They're on board 100%, and it's easy peasy.
So just to make sure we don't run out of time here, because we just have a couple of minutes left, maybe if you would, I'll kind of repeat questions, just how hospice supports the rest of the family and providing grief support, et cetera. So, because it's not just the actual patient, it's the whole family, correct?
100%. So it's a great question because a lot of people don't know that we follow our patients' families for 13 months after they've passed away. So we do grief support groups here at our office. They start the first Tuesday of every quarter, and we meet here at our office. We have lunch with our participants, and they get blessed. They get that support that they need after they've lost a loved one. And if they come to every grief support group that we do each quarter, they're more than welcome. We love people to come and interact and help other people go through what they've gone through. So this is for anybody that lives in the Treasure Valley. They are welcome to come to our grief support groups. And if you need information about that, please call us at 208-996-8181, and someone can assist you there. But not only the grief support, which is such a big part of hospice, and a lot of people just don't know that that's what we do. These families, like a lot of the patients that we take care of, they're worried about their loved one after they pass. What's going to happen to them? Well, this gives them peace of mind that they're going to be taken care of after they pass. It gives them peace of mind that, hey, I can live my life the best I can until I take that last breath because I know that my family's going to be well taken care of. So not only do we have the grief support at our office, we also have our chaplains and social workers are making phone calls after they pass away to continue to follow up with those families because they've already built that relationship with them. They are following up with them. Typically 48 hours after they've passed, they make a phone call. A week after, 2 weeks after, a month after, they're making phone calls to make sure that these people aren't stuck in their grief. Grieving is a part of life. Most of the people listening to this have probably dealt with grief in one aspect of their life or not. I remember the first person that I remember dealing grief with was when my grandfather died in 1979. I was 8 years old, and man, that was rough. And then when I was a seventh grader, one of my best friends killed himself, and that was super hard on me. So we all deal with grief, and we don't want to get stuck in our grief. We want to be able to live life to its fullest. And so these support groups are there to help people live their life to its fullest after they've lost a loved one.
Mike Briggs, thank you so much for joining us. Check it out, KeystoneHospice.org. Mike, thanks for joining us on Boomers today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Frank. It was a pleasure. I had a blast.
Great. I want to thank you all. Please be safe. Talk to you next week.
You've been listening to Boomers Today with Frank Sampson. To learn more about today's show, visit boomerstodayradio.com and join us next time for another edition of Boomers Today.